If you found out that the person you defended with your whole heart had been lying to you for 9 long months, would you still expect your marriage to survive? And if the lie destroyed the peace in your home, pushed your husband away, and disgraced an innocent man, would saying, "I'm sorry," ever be enough? Please listen carefully, because this story is not just painful. It is a lesson about trust, family, and the kind of mistake that can cost a woman everything. I am a married woman living in Ibadan with my husband. We have been married for 5 years, and God blessed us with one daughter. From the outside, we looked like a stable family. Both my husband and I worked in the bank, so our lives were always busy. We left home early every morning and returned tired in the evening. Like many working couples, we depended on help to keep the home running smoothly. A year after our wedding, when I gave birth to our daughter, my younger sister came to stay with us. At that time, she was only 17. The plan was simple. She would help me with the baby for a while and then return home. But somehow, a while turned into months, and months turned into years. She never went back. As time passed, she became part of our household. When my daughter started school, my sister was the one waking up with her in the morning, dressing her, taking her to school, bringing her back, feeding her, and taking care of the house until my husband and I returned from work. I trusted her completely. She was my blood, my own sister. I never imagined that one day, the same girl I brought into my home to help me would become the center of the biggest crisis in my marriage. About 3 years after she came to live with us, I started noticing changes in her body. At first, I brushed it aside. I asked her gently if she was feeling well, and she kept saying she was fine. But the changes became more obvious. There was something different about the way she looked, the way she moved, even the way she avoided eye contact. Still, each time I questioned her, she denied that anything was wrong. Then one evening, my husband said something that changed everything. He looked at me and said, "I think your sister may be pregnant. You need to take her to the hospital." The moment he said it, my heart started racing. I didn't want to believe him, but deep down, I was already afraid. The next day, I took her to the hospital. We ran the test, and the doctor confirmed it. She was pregnant. I almost collapsed. I remember staring at her in complete shock. My mind could not process what I had just heard. My younger sister, living under my roof, unmarried and pregnant? I felt embarrassed, confused, angry, and afraid all at once. I kept asking myself, how did this happen right inside my house without me knowing? When we got home, my husband and I sat her down and demanded to know who was responsible. At first, she refused to talk. She sat there quietly, as if silence would save her. But after much pressure, she finally mentioned a name. My husband's younger brother. The room went cold. I was stunned. My husband's younger brother had only visited us once after finishing his NYSC. He stayed with us for about a month before returning to Lagos, where he worked in tech. He was never around long enough for me to suspect anything, so when my sister called his name, it felt unbelievable. But she insisted. She said that whenever my husband and I left for work, they grew close. According to her, one thing led to another, and they started sleeping together. My husband immediately called his brother. When he heard the accusation, he denied it completely. He said, "I never touched her." My husband asked him to come down to Ibadan at once. The next day, he arrived. We all sat together, and in front of everyone, he repeated the same thing. Calmly and firmly, he said he had never slept with my sister. My sister, on the other hand, stood by her story. She looked everyone in the face and said he was the one responsible for her pregnancy. At that point, the house became divided by silence and suspicion. Who was telling the truth? I called my mother and told her everything. She immediately said my sister had no reason to lie, and honestly, I believed the same thing. She was my younger sister. I could not imagine her accusing an innocent man of getting her pregnant. To me, it made more sense to believe that my husband's brother was trying to escape responsibility. But my husband did something I was not expecting. He remained calm. He did not insult my sister. He did not attack his brother. He simply said he would not take sides without proof. His brother had to go back to Lagos because of work, but before he left, my husband made a decision. Later that night, my husband called me into our bedroom and said, "If this child truly belongs to my brother, he will take responsibility throughout the pregnancy, and after the baby is born, we will do a DNA test. If the child is his, I will personally make sure he marries your sister. But if the DNA proves the baby is not his, then every kobo he spends during this pregnancy must be refunded." I agreed immediately. At that moment, I was confident the DNA test would expose his brother and prove my sister right. I was so sure of myself that I didn't even see the wisdom in my husband's neutrality. To me, his caution felt like disloyalty to my pain. But now, looking back, that was the first sign that my husband was thinking more clearly than I was. From that day, my husband called his younger brother and told him to handle the financial side of the pregnancy. He did not mention the DNA agreement to him. So every month, his brother sent money for hospital bills, drugs, food, antenatal care, scans, and everything else my sister needed. And during those long 9 months, I stood by my sister with my whole chest. I defended her in every conversation. Anytime my husband told me to remain neutral until the DNA result came out, I got angry. I argued with him. I accused his brother of being irresponsible. I insulted him more than once. In my mind, I was protecting my sister. In my mind, I was being a good elder sister. But I never stopped to consider that I was also condemning another person without evidence. One day, my husband told me quietly, "The way you are handling this is hurting me. You are acting as if only your sister deserves to be believed. The person she is accusing is also my own brother. Just wait until we know the truth." But I refused to listen. I kept choosing emotion over reason. I kept defending my sister as though the case had already been settled. Month after month, the pregnancy grew, and with it, the tension in my home. My husband became quieter. The warmth between us started disappearing. He was still responsible, still calm, still present, but I could feel the distance growing. I should have noticed it. I should have understood that my words and actions were slowly breaking something fragile between us. But I was too blinded by loyalty to see the damage I was causing. Finally, after 9 long months, my sister gave birth to a baby boy. Before she was discharged from the hospital, my husband called his younger brother and told him to come to Ibadan because the baby had arrived. The DNA test was done immediately. I was nervous, but not because I doubted my sister. I was nervous because I wanted the result to come quickly, so everyone would finally see that she had been telling the truth. But when the result came out, the doctor said my husband's brother was not the biological father. I felt the floor shift beneath me. I refused to believe it. I told myself there must have been a mistake. I told my husband we needed to do the test again in another hospital. But he refused to pay for another one. He said one test was enough. Still, I was determined. I used my own money and paid for a second DNA test at a different hospital. The result was the same. My husband's brother was not the father. Even then, I was not satisfied. I paid for a third DNA test. Same result. At that point, the truth was standing right in front of me, but I still struggled to accept it. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was shame. Maybe it was the fear of realizing that for 9 months I had been defending a lie and attacking an innocent person. Whatever it was, I felt myself sinking into a place I had never known before. That evening, everyone gathered in our sitting room. My husband looked at my sister and asked her in a calm voice, "If my brother is not the father of this child, then who is?" For the first time in 9 months, my sister broke down completely. She started crying. And then she confessed. The real father of her baby was not my husband's brother. It was one of the Yahoo boys living in our compound. When she said it, my entire world crashed. She admitted that while my husband and I were away at work, she had been sneaking into their apartment in secret. She had been seeing one of them behind our backs. And the most painful part was not even that she got pregnant. The most painful part was that she lied from the beginning. She watched me fight for her. She watched me disrespect my husband's family. She watched an innocent man spend money every month for a child that was not his. And through it all, she kept quiet. To make matters worse, she said the man who got her pregnant was not even one of the rich ones everyone feared or admired. He was just a handsome apprentice learning the trade from the others. I cannot fully describe the kind of shame I felt in that moment. For 9 months, I fought with my husband. For 9 months, I insulted his brother. For 9 months, I stood on a lie and called it loyalty. And suddenly, everything my husband had warned me about became painfully clear. A week later, after my sister had recovered a little from childbirth, my husband called me into our bedroom. I still remember the look on his face. He was not shouting. He was not insulting me. That was what made it worse. He said, "Do you know what hurt me the most? It was not your sister's lie. It was the fact that throughout these 9 months, you never trusted my judgment. I begged you to wait until we had proof, but you chose to condemn my brother before knowing the truth." I could not even look at him. Because he was right. I had messed up badly. It was not just about believing my sister. It was about the way I carried myself throughout the matter. I spoke carelessly. I judged blindly. I turned his patience into weakness and his caution into betrayal. I failed to protect fairness in my own home. Then he said something that broke me completely. He told me he had allowed my sister to remain in the house for 1 week after childbirth so she could regain strength. But after that, she had 3 days to leave with her baby. Then he looked at me and said, "As for you, pack your things and leave with her for now. I need peace. I need time to decide whether this marriage is still the marriage I thought I had." I fell on my knees immediately. I cried. I begged. I apologized until I had no strength left. But he did not change his mind. Today, I am staying at my mother's house with my sister and her baby. My husband hardly answers my calls. Sometimes he replies with only 1 word. Sometimes he ignores me completely. And every day, I live with the pain of knowing that this disaster did not come because of a stranger. It came because I failed to listen. I failed to wait. I failed to trust the man I married. Yes, my sister lied. Yes, she caused confusion in my home. Yes, she dragged an innocent man's name through the mud. But I also played my part. I gave judgment before evidence. I chose blood over truth. I made my husband feel alone in his own house. And now, I am left asking myself the kind of question no wife ever wants to ask. Can a marriage survive when trust has been broken like this? Sometimes I think about all the little moments I ignored. The times my husband tried to calm me down. The times he warned me not to rush. The times he asked me to stay neutral. I thought I was being strong, but I was actually being stubborn. I thought I was protecting my sister, but I was really protecting a lie. And now, the price of that mistake may be my home, my peace, and the future I built with the man I love. If I could turn back time, I would do so many things differently. I would still support my sister as a human being, but I would not blindly attack another person. I would wait for evidence. I would respect my husband's wisdom. I would understand that fairness is not betrayal. I would remember that marriage requires trust, especially when the storm is inside the house. Now, all I can do is pray that my husband's heart softens. I know forgiveness is not something I can force. I know pain does not disappear because tears are shed. I know trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild. But I also know that I have seen the depth of my mistake, and if I ever get a second chance, I will never handle such a matter the same way again. Some lessons in life come too late. Some truths arrive after too much damage has already been done. And sometimes, the person who destroys peace in a home is not the one who tells the first lie, but the one who keeps defending it after wisdom has spoken. So tell me, if you were this husband, would you forgive your wife and take her back? Or do you think the damage has gone too far? And if you were this woman, what would you do to save your marriage after a mistake this painful? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments, but please be respectful, because this story carries a lesson many families need to hear. And if you enjoy real-life emotional stories like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful story.